Hey, it's Sam from Sugar Spun Run, and today we're going to be making chocolate lava cookies. This cookie is the latest addition to my gourmet cookie collection. It is super decadent, super rich. Let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do for today's recipe is prepare our chocolate lava filling, which is essentially a ganache, a nice, rich, tasty ganache. I have 6 ounces of chocolate here. I'm using Couverture chocolate, but you could chop up some semi-sweet or dark chocolate baking bars instead. I'd actually recommend dark over semi-sweet. So you can make the ganache the old-fashioned way, where you bring the cream to a simmer and then pour it over the chocolate, let it sit 5 minutes and stir it, but I've been doing this cheater's way recently that works really well in the microwave, just because I'm feeling a little lazy today. We're going to add 2/3 cup of heavy cream, and I'm going to pop this in the microwave for 25 seconds, stir it, do another 25 seconds, and then if needed, I will return to the microwave in like 5-10 second intervals until it's completely smooth. Whichever way you make the ganache, at some point it's going to look a little bit separated. Just keep whisking and it should all come together. So our ganache looks beautiful, but it's much too thin to be able to scoop it and use it just yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to let it sit until it's completely solidified. You can speed up this process by popping it in the fridge, which is what I'm going to do. All right, in the meantime, we can go ahead and prepare our cookie dough, which is going to be a nice, kind of stiff chocolate cookie dough. You'll need a large mixing bowl, and to this, we're going to add 1 cup of softened unsalted butter. We'll add a 1/2 cup or 100 grams of firmly packed light brown sugar. We're also going to add 1 1/4 cups or 250 grams of granulated sugar. Now for this next step, you will want to use an electric mixer, or a stand mixer would be fine. You could use that with your paddle attachment. But we'll use an electric mixer to beat together the butter and the sugar until they are light and creamy. All right, next we are going to add 1 large egg as well as 1 large egg yolk. Ideally, these should be at room temperature. Always, ideally, crack your eggs in a separate dish before adding them into your dough. There's 1. And then for the second egg, just the yolk. Now I use just the yolk for the second one because I'm aiming for a stiffer dough. That's because I don't want this dough to spread too much. I want it to very firmly hold in that lava cake filling that we just prepared. So by removing that extra white, I remove some extra liquid, and the cookies should stay nice and firm and hold in that lava. Before I stir in those eggs, I'm also going to stir in a teaspoon of vanilla extract. This is my homemade vanilla, which I love. And we'll just stir everything together with our mixer until all of the ingredients are well combined. All right, slide this out of the way. And now you'll need a separate bowl for your dry ingredients. We're going to start with 3 1/3 cups or 375 grams of cake flour. I really like using cake flour for this particular recipe because it just makes a softer cookie. It's a little bit more, it reminds you a little bit more of a chocolate lava cake this way. If you don't have cake flour, I will leave a note in the description so that you will know how to substitute all-purpose flour instead. But if you have cake flour, please use it. Now we're also going to be adding 50 grams of cocoa powder, and for this recipe, that's 1/2 cup. And for this recipe, I really recommend using dark cocoa powder. It gives the cookies a nice dark color. It's just makes it nice and fun. All right, now we're also going to add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. This is another ingredient that's going to help keep the dough from spreading too much in the oven, which is so important with this recipe. We'll also add a teaspoon of baking powder, just 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and 3/4 teaspoon of salt. We're just using table salt for today's recipe. Almost out of salt. Go ahead and whisk these ingredients together, get everything nicely incorporated. Break up any lumps from that cocoa if there are any. All right, once everything's nicely combined, let's make a little room here. Somebody commented in a video the other day that I make quite a mess when I'm filming, or I make too much of a mess in these videos. And let me just tell you, you guys have not seen me in real life. This is really, really good for me. I make a lot of effort for you guys watching at home. Now, since this is a stiff dough, I do recommend adding the flour gradually. You don't want to add it all at once, or it's going to be very difficult to get that all incorporated. Last little bit of flour. Okay, Once you have everything completely combined, you should have a pretty stiff dough on your hands. Definitely scrape the sides and bottom. Make sure you don't have any pockets of flour hiding in here somewhere. See, we got a little bit of flour. We're gonna work in right there. All right, even though this is a nice stiff dough, we are going to give ourselves a little extra security. We're going to cover the dough and we're still going to chill it in the fridge for 30 minutes before we try rolling anything out, if I can get this plastic wrap to cooperate. So many of you have given me good tips for plastic wrap and I never implement them when I'm on camera. I don't know why. I don't know why. So I like this dough to chill for about 30 minutes. And in the meantime, you can get your oven preheating to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. After my dough has been in the fridge for about 15 minutes, I usually check on my ganache and I find it's at the point where I can scoop it. So it'll still be a little bit fluid, but you can see that's scoopable where it wasn't before. So we'll go ahead and scoop that now. I just have a small baking sheet I've lined with wax paper. You could use a plate lined with wax paper. And we are going to scoop level tablespoons of ganache and just drop these on our baking sheet. And you can see it's holding its shape. If yours isn't holding its shape, put it back in the fridge, come back to it later. It is okay if your cookie dough ends up sitting for longer than 30 minutes. This recipe makes 17 cookies and you should be able to get 17 dollops of lava cake filling or lava cookie filling out of this ganache recipe. I actually got 18, so maybe we'll get lucky and we'll get 18 cookies today. Our dough is still chilling. We will go ahead and pop this in the freezer so it will get nice and solid. That way we'll be able to pick it up by the time our cookie dough is done chilling. All right, so another 15 minutes or so later, check your ganache and it should be pick up a bowl. You can see I can pick this up. This is ready to go, but I am going to keep it in the freezer while I'm rolling out some of the cookie dough because it's going to soften really fast. So this will stay in the freezer. And now I'm going to roll my cookie dough. So we're going to use about a 1/4 cup of cookie dough per cookie. This is like a 1/3 cup size scoop, so I go a little scant on that. We'll go ahead and we'll roll that cookie dough into a nice ball. Looks like I'm gonna need a little more dough than I have. And then use your thumb to make a nice crater right in the center. Don't go all the way through. Now I'll grab one of my ganache dollops. We will press this right in the center and form that cookie dough around it. When you're finished, you should have a nice smooth ball of dough. You should not see any ganache poking out of the sides. You do want to give the cookies a little space on the baking sheet because they'll spread some. They're pretty big cookies when they're finished baking. Space them at least 2 inches apart. If you're forming the dough around the ganache and you find you need more cookie dough, don't be afraid to use more. The important thing is that no ganache is showing, but it is ideal to use as little dough as possible. That way when you bite into the cookie, you get a nice big pocket of that lava filling. All right, we'll bake these cookies in the center rack of our 375 degree Fahrenheit preheated oven for about 13 minutes. All right, once these cookies have cooled, you may even notice some cracks on the surface, maybe a little bit of ganache peeking out. Those are actually my favorite. There's nothing wrong with that. It's also okay if you don't have any cracks either. These cookies are really fragile while they're warm, so we're going to let them cool completely on the baking sheet. Once they're cooled, there's one final finishing touch I like to add, and that is a dusting of powdered sugar, because that is what most people put on top a chocolate lava cake. Alternatively, you could use a scoop of ice cream, serve them while they're still warm. That would also be delicious. If you add the powdered sugar while the cookies are warm, it's just going to melt, so just keep that in mind. And that is how you make chocolate lava cookies. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. All right, let's go ahead and break into this cookie. I don't know if you can really see how molten that is. You wanna try it too? Yep. Go ahead, you take one and I'll take one. You cheers me? Mm-hmm. All right, let's try it. How is it? How is it? You nodded. They are really good. I think you're gonna enjoy these. Are you enjoying yours, Luke? Mm-hmm. You need yours? Yeah. Okay, here you go. How is it, Rhett? Well, I think they're delicious. Why is no one answering me?